Hi, this is Charlie Zeiss with Pyramid Quest. Today is Monday, May 25th, 2020. As always, joining me are Lisa Richards and Lori Sasson. So we welcome you all on this Memorial Day Monday. I hope everyone's had a chance to get outside. The weather's been great here in Pennsylvania. I don't know how it's been out in Nebraska, Lori. How's your weather been?
Oh my gosh, it had been cloudy for like 13 days. We got like a day and a half of some sun, and now it's cloudy again. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, anyway, I got out and cut my grass yesterday between rain showers, so I got the yard in shape, and we've been able to go to the local reservoir here in Harrisburg called Wildwood, and it's about a 3 to 3.5 mile walk. So we've done that a couple of times as well. So, it's great to be getting back outdoors again, and hope all of you have a chance to do the same. Today is a momentous day for us in a way. I just cannot believe that we have been doing this live stream now for 6 months, but we realized this just last week when we were putting together. Lisa can give you an update here in a minute on the status of the web YouTube page, but I needed to get her all of the thumbnails, and then we were trying to decide what to do today. So what we're going to do in part in the second half of the program is to kind of do a quick review of all of the topics that we've covered on a week-by-week basis during our first 6 months. It's amazing to me how far we've come in improving these energy fields, measuring them, and the things that we've learned. So what this will do is to give those of you who maybe are new an opportunity to get a quick review. You can jot down perhaps those episodes that you'll want to go back and review in depth after today's live stream. But two things that we're going to do today. Lisa has just some very preliminary results that she has achieved with live blood analysis. She's going to be able to show us, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the concept of rouleau. Rouleau is a coming together of your red blood cells. And it's not a positive thing to have happen. It happens in many respects due to EMFs and other pollutants and so forth. And she's going to show you just some very preliminary results showing that this clumping of the blood cells, disperses quite a bit just with a very short exposure to the pyramid. The other thing I'm going to do today, I started making, as I mentioned last week, coils on an experimental basis. We've sent those out to members of the board. And I have actually, Lori and I did a session with someone this week, and they had actually wrapped their coil more tightly. As you can see, this is a 1-inch spacing, and this is a 1/2-inch spacing. So we'll go ahead and test those, and I think we'll see some energy differences there as well. So with that said, why don't we begin by letting Lisa show you and introduce you to live blood analysis. She's going to be doing more and more of that, and she can tell you more about that.
Okay, great. Yeah, so live blood analysis is going to be one of the methods that we use to show how pyramid energy helps your body. What it does, it's a very simple procedure. You take a diabetic lancet and prick the end of your finger, okay? The practitioner would, and put that underneath a dark microscope. You can't use a regular microscope. There's too much light. We have to, and that's what I'm going to end up with my own microscope here soon, but my daughter, who's already a practitioner for this, knows how to transform a regular microscope into a dark microscope. And she actually has a video on YouTube to show you how to do that. So we'll put that on our page if anybody wants to utilize this technique as well and transform a microscope for this. But you hook it up to your television. Okay, and you get a little video camera that goes into the lens of the microscope. You can project your blood moving in real time right up onto the TV screen. And for some reason, my videos aren't sharing today, but I'll share with you some pictures. We did just a quick test. She's coming down this weekend, and we're going to do some more in-depth testing on different things. So she tested my blood before. I was the subject. She tested my blood before I got into the pyramid. And mind you, I hadn't been in the pyramid all week. The day before, I was at a party, so we were drinking alcohol, we were eating crappy food, you know, and I also took off the frequency protector on the back of my cell phone. So I was carrying that around in my pocket all day. So hitting with the electrical magnetic frequencies, you know, I wasn't in the country anymore. I was at a bigger area with more frequencies and stuff too. So my blood was looking pretty crappy at the beginning. I sat in the meditation pyramid with the bionized sand. So it'd be the exact one I'm sitting in now. I have the Apex amplifier with my custom capstone on it. And then on the very top, it was the sandcastle capstone. The only other thing I did was I had the small Russian doll pyramid. So it was 3 pyramids in one, embedded in one, underneath my seat. So it was just the basics to the meditation pyramid. I sat there for a half an hour, and then we tested my blood again. So she took another prick of my finger, put it on the slide and underneath the underneath the microscope. And it wasn't a drastic difference right then, but you could definitely see what was going on. So let me show you the first slide, okay? Okay. Okay, so can you see this? Can you guys see this?
Yes,
The
yes.
video
Yes,
or
we
the
can,
slide up
Lisa.
here on the screen?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this was my blood beforehand. Now, these are all my red blood cells, okay? Your red blood cells are supposed to be single, okay? They're not supposed to be all clumped together. When you see chains clumped together of red blood cells, that's called rouleauing. They're sticky. In order for your red blood cells to function properly, they need to be single, not stuck together. They need to be fast flowing, which you can see in a video. We'll be sharing videos of this down the road, but I can't share those today for some reason. And if you notice at the very top in the kind of the left-hand side, you'll see a whole chain of red blood cells stuck together. And they're not only just stuck together, they're actually pressed together. They look like an accordion. They're really squished, okay? So that's the rouleauing I'm talking about. They're squished together. They can't move through veins and arteries when they're all stuck together like that. So you're gonna feel tired, less oxygen in your blood. Your red blood cells are really sluggish at this point. They're not moving a lot. Even your white blood cells, you can see when you do this analysis and see if they're functioning properly and cleaning up things, you know. This technique is amazing. You can tell all kinds of things with the live blood analysis. So now let me show you the after, okay? So this is the part, let me see here. This is the part I'm mainly wanting you to focus on, is this little rouleauing right there, okay? They're mainly all like that. They look like caterpillars. Okay, now let me show you the after picture. Okay, so this is the after picture. This is only a half an hour sitting inside of the pyramid. And you can actually see there's way more space in between the red blood cells. They're actually starting to separate, so you can see a lot more roundness. The ones that are rouleaued, they're not as squished together anymore. You can really see them starting to separate, and that's what we want to see. When you look at this in video format, you're actually going to see them moving a lot faster. So it's creating more oxygenation in your blood, more microcirculation. It's getting your blood flowing. It's getting the clearing out the electrical magnetic frequencies. Getting, you know, that's one of the reasons that your blood rouleaus. It's from the electrical magnetic frequencies in the atmosphere around you. It's from the acidity in your blood. It's from your blood not being very oxygenated. So we can tell just by this very quick test and the results that we have here, the pyramids creating that microcirculation, it's creating the oxygenation of your blood. And actually it's funny because Lori even said that with that Russian doll pyramid, the 3 pyramids in one, that she felt it was oxygenating my blood. So I actually had that little pyramid underneath my meditation seat when we were doing this study. So we're excited to get more tests underway with this. I'll be down here doing tests all the time. My daughter will be helping us doing testing as well. And we'll have some video footage for you then too. So we're excited. Oh, Charlie, you're on mute.
I saw that. So you'll also, everyone received their coil except for Lori. Hopefully she'll get hers tomorrow. But so I think Lisa will be able to begin testing as well with the coil.
Yes.
So
coils, frequencies, we want to do all those, test all of that stuff.
That's right. So look forward to some ongoing research by Lisa over the next few weeks with live blood analysis. We're all looking forward to that. So
yeah, one more thing, quick thing too, Charlie. I had a customer who bought the Bionized quartz sand to put inside his meditation pyramid. He actually has a life force energy meter. And he put a review on my website the other day, or on my Etsy shop, that when he put the Bionized quartz sand inside of the pipes of his meditation pyramid, it doubled the energy of the pyramid. And he measured that with his life force energy meter. So we would love to have people, replicate those tests, help us with the Pyramid Science Foundation. That's what it's all about, and showing the science and how it's going to work and how this pyramid energy really helps people. But those are the kind of things that we want to do. So we're going to replicate the test for that as well down the road. But we also invite any of you watching the show to help us with that too. If you have different devices that you can recommend we test with, let us know too.
Okay, fantastic. Well, next, what we're going to do, we tested, I want to test these very quickly. I'm going to put together some frequencies on the phone, and we'll use those to test these 2 coils. And what we may find out, I hope we'll find out, I'm going to be using 222, 666, and 1455, which are 3 frequencies from Hardin's Gateway Tone page that's on his website. These are what are called the 9th seed. So I'll just start those up real quick so people can begin to hear these. There we go. And again, what we did last week, we attach the coil to the end of with an alligator clip that is attached to an amplifier. You hear that amplifier playing in the background now. And
You could move that slightly up, Charlie, slightly up so people can see that.
that's the way you hook it together with the alligator clamp. I'm going to put this underneath my chair, and then we're going to take this amplifier that everything's hooked into, turn it on. You'll see the, whoops. Well, let's see what's going, oh, it's not plugged in. That's the reason. These frequencies. So Lori's going to do a quick test of
Yeah, it's currently at 8.888 billion. So much power, we lost Charlie. All right, in just a few moments, Charlie should be back, but that's a lot of energy that he was just getting into that pipe there.
Maybe he won't be back. Maybe he like vanished. You
So
never
it's
know.
pretty incredible. Early this morning, we did this testing, and he had two different types of pipes that he was using, and one was an inch apart, and then he started doing it a half an inch apart. And what was amazing is this was the first time we tested it right before the show, and we noticed that there was some stuff going on with his fifth chakra. So a lot of stuff with his throat, and we were both, Lisa and I were both like clearing our throats as he was clearing his throat. It's pretty funny. So
Yep.
but hopefully he didn't blow a fuse just now. That's pretty
I know.
that's pretty incredible. Yeah. Yeah. So Jack, what do you think?
Very interesting. I was reading some stuff on the caduceus coil, and it can have an effect on, I think, on equipment and stuff like that. In the one article I read, it said that there was a cloud formed outside, but they were using a ferrite core. So I don't know if there'd be a difference in intensity with a ferrite core as opposed to the tube of sand that he's using.
I'm interested in making some myself with the bionize quartz sand inside and seeing how that changes the energy as well.
Well, did he have sand in this one?
Yes. I believe so. Just regular sand. I don't think it was, I mean, just the regular aqua quartz sand. It's quartz.
Are you
All right, I'm
back, Charlie? Did you blast off?
I see what the issue is. That was my system going down. So let me see here. I'm going to have to plug this in a possibly a different location. Let's see if this, I hope this doesn't happen again. Let's see. All right, let's try it again. Hopefully it'll work. Okay, everything.
What type of sand do you have in that, Charlie?
Okay, everything's on. What was that?
What type of sand do you have in there?
What type of sand do you have in the coil?
This
I
is
think
crazy.
his Wi-Fi is a little out, Lisa. His Wi-Fi is a little out right now.
Something is messed up. So my apologies to everyone. Let me see what I can do here. I'm not sure how. Well, I think what we're, well, I can't do that either. Here, let's see if I can run it off of this. Let's see. All right, I think we found a solution. I hope. See if you can.
Hey, Charlie.
Yes.
What kind of sand do you have inside of the coil is what Lori wanted to know.
Inside of the coil?
Yes.
It's, this is actually.
Aqua quartz?
Yeah, it's aqua quartz, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So what
just
were
a
you
very
saying, Jack?
high crystalline quartz.
yes, yes. And Laurie, are you able to get a reading at this point?
Okay, so it's currently at that 12 billion that we talked about before.
Okay.
So again, here's what I want to tell the audience that's watching, because I think this is really interesting. Initially, if something is going on that your body needs some kind of, I want to call it healing or attunement, or something is not jiving with the frequency, it's going to do what it needs to do first before it gets to the highest frequency it's going to go to. So currently it's doing something to Charlie right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's the throat. I mean, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
But also something with the heart. So whatever, we talked about this maybe in a previous life, you didn't feel, or maybe you were so passionate about what you needed to say or what you needed to get out there, or in the past you were passionate about it but didn't get it out, which is what I resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like in this lifetime it's your time to voice what you truly feel.
Yeah, because there's
and
stuff going on right there. So
yeah, it's
all
pretty
right.
big.
So anyway, I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to connect the other coil on with it, and we're going to see. I can perceive a difference in the energy field personally. So let's see if Lori can pick up any difference. This is a more powerful. I've essentially doubled the amount of wire in the coil, so it seems to work more powerfully. So I don't know if you can detect.
Well, initially I'm feeling something in your gut. So so it's currently 555 billion. But it's doing something again with your like third chakra down. So from the waist down, it's really doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've mentioned before, for whatever reason, this coil seems to have a tendency to go in previous lives to do some work that should have been done or needed to be done or cleared or just healed, so you can do your mission in this lifetime today.
Right. So
now
anyway,
it's going up again. I don't know if you feel that, but it is now going up to
it's moving
8.888 billion. And this is where I feel the blood being oxygenated now, like Lisa had mentioned earlier in her slides.
Okay. So
to me, I mean, just like think about what we've been told in the past about consciousness being the future, subconscious being past, how
right.
mind, body, spirit has just an intricate part of our existence, and again with our blood, as Lisa has shown. And what's amazing to me is how this pyramid and then the coil work together to then increase all of that. Like we said, this power is so huge. We're not quite sure what the power is doing. And I feel that you probably shouldn't be in there longer than 20-25 minutes with that power.
Yeah.
But it's very significant.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be obviously doing a lot more testing on this in the future. We're going to be having a session again with G.W. Harden to go over a lot of this. We're going to have, it looks like in the near future, we're going to have an app available for you. We're going to start testing that this week. That'll go over these tones and frequencies. So we've got a lot of stuff that's that's going on that we'll be talking about in coming weeks. Before we get to our review of our 6-month review, I did want to show everyone the new YouTube page that Lisa has put together. It's still a work in progress, but I did want to show you how you can access it. If you go to youtube.com and put in Pyramid Science Foundation, you will find the YouTube page. It's not yet on the top of the page. If you go down about 6 places, you'll see it, and this is the logo for the Pyramid Science Foundation here. So the more often people, what I'm asking you to do is go on, subscribe, and also just search for it and click on it, because that'll get us up to the top real quickly if people do that. I remember when I rebranded to Stargate Pyramids, it took about a week or so for it to pop up to the top of the page. So please help us out and go on there. Lisa, I don't know if you have any updates on the status, but I know you're downloading or uploading.
So eventually here soon, we're going to be transferring all the Pyramid Quest videos, which is what I've been working on, to the Pyramid Science Foundation. So if you want to watch us live stream, it's going to be, instead of on this channel, Stargate Pyramids, we'll have it on the Pyramid Science Foundation.
Right.
I do have a playlist created specifically for Pyramid Quest, so you can go through and see all the different videos. That's what I'm in the process of doing right now, is just putting those videos in order as I have uploaded them. I have them all uploaded, all episodes except for last week's, and then this one. I'll have to work on those this week.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, with all of that said, I think we're now ready to go into our review. I'm going to pull up
just really quickly, Charlie, I'm looking at some of the comments before you go on. Suzanne would like to know, does the sand go in the base only? Well, we were talking about the sand currently in the pipe that you had with the coils.
Yeah, the pipe of the sand in the base of the pyramid, as well as the sand in the coil, is called aqua quartz, and it's available on Amazon.com. Lisa also makes a more powerful form of that called bionized sand, and that's available from her as well separately. So we'll be discussing, once we're ready to actually market coils, how to do that with respect to the coils. But right now, if you're interested in bionized sand for the pipes of your pyramid, you can order that from Lisa.
Awesome. So, and then
people are putting that in all the pipes too now. We found that different ways to actually, if you order the Apex amplifier, it makes your pyramid more sturdy, so you're able to actually put it in the pipes as well.
That's
instead
right.
of just the base.
Exactly. We historically were not doing that because it just was a little bit fragile, but now with the amplifier to help strengthen the support of the pipes, it's a lot easier to do. So anyway, that's. And
one other thing, Redbeard said, High Priest of Tartaria. I would say that actually fits you, Charlie. So I think that's something you might want to look at.
Well,
Robert says, what if the coil was facing in vertical position versus being in the horizontal position? And Robert, what a great question. We were doing east and west, north and south with it. But as a matter of fact, Charlie, the only one time we did it that it was horizontal was when you had it in front of you and we could feel it, and then you did it on top of your head. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
So that's a great question, Robert. That's something we could test. Yeah.
Okay.
And then a couple of 6 seed frequencies through the coil caused a very mild head pressure, not really uncomfortable. other seed 6 frequencies did not. So that is an interesting comment there.
Okay.
What do you think the coil will typically intensify? And, you know, I'll answer that question, Suzanne. I think it intensifies previous lives where your energy was not completely healed, and it needs to be for this next spiritual transformation we're all going through.
Yeah. And kind of a follow-up as well, the coil creates scalar frequencies or waves, which are, according to the current research, what DNA uses both to receive and transmit information and energy. So there seems to be a much more direct connection with your DNA, which I'm sure, given what the research shows, that just to digress for a minute, 80% of your DNA, according to traditional science, is junk DNA, but that's just a horrible misnomer, because the current state-of-the-art research that Hammeroff and Penrose and Constantine Mile and others have started to demonstrate is that 80%, which is not storing information, is actually used for communication amongst the cell, the body, and the universe. So
right.
So anyway, can everyone see this? Can you see my slides?
We have a 6-month review of Pyramid Quest research, so that's what we're seeing now. Cool.
Yep. Okay, so we'll start off here. What I did is, you'll see there was not only an evolution of a lot of things here, but my early thumbnails weren't the best either, but I got better at them as time went on. We started back December 2nd, so for those of you who are counting, next week will be June 1st. So this essentially is kind of the first 6-month wrap-up of our program. And back on December 2nd, our very first episode, we talked about dowsing for the energy fields. And you guys, Lori and Lisa, chime in, because a lot of this I'm hoping you will talk on as well. But this first session, we were dowsing for the energy fields of pyramids from around the world. So we had Bill and Lori. I had put together a number of photographs of not only Russian pyramids, but Giza pyramids, pyramids from North and South America, Alaska, Antarctica, and so forth. And as I remember, Lori had the opportunity to look at, for example, the Giza pyramid in Egypt, and was actually able to clear some negative energies on that. Do you remember that, Lori?
I do.
So, we seem to be able to clear some of the negative energies that were emanating from that pyramid. So that's an interesting introduction, because it shows you pyramids from all over the world. And for a first show, it was fascinating to show people how many different places around the world pyramids actually existed. So a great introductory show. Now on the 9th, as a result of our show on the 1st, I was contacted by a gentleman from Turkey named Hakan, and Hakan came back to us with a variety of information about finding phi in pyramid geometry. And he had been able to find these relationships in some very unique ways. So we spent a good portion of the second live stream having Hakan on the show. He showed us the calculations through a variety of slides that he had put together for the show. And also, he then later showed us, or came back to me, and this started in the next live stream on the 16th. he had actually made some cones with the geometry of the pyramid and stacked them. And so in addition to looking at a whole bunch of different places where the Russian pyramid geometry could be found, we, for the first time, we're testing the energy fields associated with stacked pyramids. And it was on that show that we determined and were able to corroborate the research that had been done by Dan A. Davidson that proved that stacked pyramids would increase the energy produced. So for those of you, as we go through, if you're interested in these topics, you may want to write down the episodes so that you can go back and see these particular episodes that you might be interested in. And then we got to the 23rd of December, and I'll let Lisa go over this. This was Lisa was just a guest those days on the show because her other time commitments weren't allowing her to participate full time. But Lisa, you might want to talk about your introductory session on capstones.
Of course. So I actually started working with Charlie around this time on custom capstones that really amplify the energy of the meditation, the Stargate meditation pyramid. This is one of the initial ones that I made. It's just called the Sand Castle. And this is filled with the bionized quartz sand. So the bionized quartz sand is actually a more amplified energy. So when you order a pyramid from Charlie, you have the option for the aqua quartz sand, which is a very high quartz content sand in the base of your pyramid. I use that same type of sand, but I bionize it. And bionization is actually a process that Wilhelm Reich discovered in the 40s. It's a process of freezing and boiling, freezing and boiling, freezing and boiling 3 times. And what I feel intuitively is that it creates a pumping action of the energy around it. So you're expanding and contracting numerous times, which creates a pump. It's going to draw in more etheric energy, and then that last contraction holds on to it. And it retains that very high vibration indefinitely. That energy will never dissipate from it. You can do it with crystals, and which I did it with the bionized quartz sand. So all my capstones have either filled, like this one is, with the bionized quartz sand, or there's a layer of the bionized quartz sand in them, but that's always going to keep that high vibration. So the sand castle is a basic one that you can get to put on top of your pyramid. But I also do, this is my most popular, I do an intuitive design where people can send me their photo. I tap into their energy field, and I can detect what they need vibration-wise to enhance their energy. And then I create a custom capstone according to that. The different colors represent different frequencies, the different crystals, different frequencies. And I put together usually an 8 or 9 page report that I send out to them that describes what all these different frequencies are going to do for them. And almost every time, everybody resonates with it. You know, that's definitely something that they need in their life. So I've sold quite a few of these. You can check out my Etsy shop and look at all the reviews. People are, I have 5-star review on there from all the products. And people are really excited to get the capstones. They've been going all over the world: Norway, Alaska, England, United Kingdom, everywhere. So it's been great working with them, working with Charlie on all these.
Fantastic. All right. Well, then the next one, this is actually, I don't think it's showing up. This is, let me see if I can escape and we can... There should be some explanation on this page. There it is. It's getting cut off. December 30th, we did a show on pyramid stacking. As we mentioned, we started doing our own experiments about that. And then we started to get into some of the information on Tartarian Empire and Giza meditation pyramids. Now, in this episode of with respect to the Giza meditation pyramids, what we were actually doing was we were looking at a number of different companies' meditation pyramids that are available out on the internet. And typically these are quite expensive, going anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000 and up. And we were checking the energy fields of those, and we still didn't get what we, at least Lori was able to feel, and Bill as well, really positive energy fields from those. But that's what that session was about. And if you're interested in checking out that information.
Well, you're talking about using a Giza pyramid as opposed to something like we currently have here, the different degrees, and how, you know, the Giza made it more like a petrified,
Yes,
right?
that's right. That's right.
More of, and just think about that, what that might be doing to your body and your blood that way. And, you know, I love telling this story that I have a client that is a nurse that goes out to do special trips where they go to like Africa and all these different places where she goes and gives her services with a doctor here locally in Omaha. And I'll never forget this because she stepped off the plane, she smelled this horrendous odor, and energetically she was out the entire time that they were there. She thought she was going to die. She was near the pyramid, and she knew the only one she could talk to was me when she got here. Sure enough, we were able to clear the energy. But for her, this had to do with the previous life where she had there, and it like reconnected her to that lifetime, was causing great pain with her and problems. And to me, there is a reason they're there. I'm not sure it's a positive thing. I mean, I'll just say that I think, you know, it's really interesting that we have these amazing monuments that we never discuss education wise. School doesn't ever really talk about them. They may briefly say something, but really not the reason why they're there or what they're doing there. And, you know, David Soretta has talked about time and time again how these are portals for other aliens to come into our atmosphere. So, I mean, it's things like that that I would love to have more information of. What are they really? What do they really do? And a lot of times when we've looked at them, as we've mentioned before, the energy isn't all that positive coming from them. And in some instances, something was creating more of a masculine energy over, you know, a balanced feminine masculine energy, is which we're wanting all the time, is a harmonious energy in every scenario and situation.
Okay. All right. So starting the new year, we began with some information on pyramid water research. We discussed how water can be structured inside the pyramids. We took some viewer questions, and I know that I think Lori, you talked quite a bit about it, about the role of intention, and really what we were discussing there, as I remember, was the fact that this pyramid geometry is unique in that it follows the phi scaling angle. It's interdimensional. So whatever results you end up achieving with the pyramid, a lot of it has to do with your intention. So I don't know if you want to elaborate, Lori?
Well, just really quickly, I mean, if you think of something really positive and wonderful, and, you know, I usually say to people, let's just think of like a little puppy or a little kitten and how your energy changes right away. And you get this warm, fuzzy energy feeling, and then you breathe deeper and you breathe better. But then if you think about somebody that hates you and doesn't like you and doesn't care about you, and then your energy just kind of collapses and you can't really breathe and you just kind of, to me, what the pyramid essentially does is it intensifies just whatever energy you're currently going through. So that's why I say when we're in this pyramid, think of the positive things. Think of the things you're grateful for. Think of the things that you're really wanting to have happen in your existence. And you're not sure how it's going to happen, but what we have found time and time again, Lisa, Charlie, and I, is that as soon as we get off this conference call, for examples, things just start flowing to us, coming to us, energies, people. Hey, have you heard of this? Have you, I'll read things that are very synchronistic, and things just start happening. And before I had the pyramid, what was interesting to me, I could manifest things with no problem, but they were very, here and there, and just a little here and a little there. But after the pyramid, it's a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. And I get a choice. What do I want to take out of all the opportunities I'm getting from the pyramid? So that's what's pretty cool about this.
All right.
Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping, Charlie, with the live blood analysis, I'll be utilizing a dark microscope. I'm hoping that I could create some of Dr. Emoto's work with the water droplets and the pyramid energy, and test it under the microscope with the water droplets.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
That's what I'm excited about. I mean, just the Dr. Emoto stuff where, you look at love and you put love in there, and then we can look at hate and put hate in there after it's been in the energy of the pyramid. I would love to see if maybe even if we have it hate, if it does still take it to a positive level. I don't know. That's what's going to be interesting to find out.
Oh, it absolutely will be. So, okay. So moving on January 13th, we did a section almost exclusively on sigils. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, sigils are specific drawings, diagrams, geometric patterns, and the like that are just, you put them on a piece of paper. And there was a lot of information that we looked at that time to determine whether sigils were actually were beneficial. We had gotten some information from a group, believe this was from American Intelligence Media, but they had some specific sigils that they promoted and gave away actually for free as a public service to test. And we did not get necessarily the positive results that, might have been expected. So we are going to be doing more research of this type, though, going forward with G.W. Harden. I know that we have not even touched this subject yet, but as we become more knowledgeable about how mathematics can become geometry, can become sound and form, there are some additional things that we're going to want to do with this going forward. But if you're interested in sigils and our test results, go back to the January 13th episode and you can see what we found out.
Yeah, I have to say I didn't care for those. I just remember going, these weren't really doing much of anything. And Lisa, I don't know if you remember if you were there, but I that's what I remember.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, not yet. Lori, Lisa wasn't with us yet, but anyway, Lisa ends up here in a few more episodes. On the 20th of January, we got information from a researcher in Northern Canada who still wants to remain anonymous. But for those of you who have not seen this is amazing research. He went around during the wintertime and took Pyrex bowls filled with water into which was mixed red dye. And so he stirred the dye around into the bowls, and he put these out around where he lived for distances up to 11 miles. And the results were that up to 11 miles out, he was getting a consistent pattern with these bowls. Number one, the center of the bowl, in the center, in the vortex area, the water did not freeze. And this is similar to the research that was done in Russia. Although theirs was directly under the pyramid, he was still able to achieve a similar result in the middle of these bowls. The second thing was that the red dye, which had been, stirred around into the water, all congealed into the center of the ice, and you could see a vortical pattern had developed.
Yeah, that was so cool.
So
You have a photo of that?
I don't have it available.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
didn't
that was
put
so
one up
cool.
today. I could probably pull one up, but it's fascinating pictorial research. So that's what we talked about on the 20th. And we're hoping to be able to take this research and get it soon from this individual and publish it on the Pyramid Science Foundation website. The next 2 weeks, on the 27th and the 3rd of February, we discussed Tartarian architecture. We could have spent probably another 2 months doing this. So I would suggest for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Tartarian Empire, as I was up until late last year, that you check this out as well as this topic on YouTube. You will find a number of top quality people on YouTube who are exploring the Tartarian Empire. In summary, this seems to be history that has been excised from our textbooks purposefully to hide the grandeur of this great empire. At its peak, the Tartarian Empire enveloped not only current-day Russia, but India, China, North America, South America, parts of the Middle East. So it was an extensive empire. The pictures that we showed during these 2 weeks demonstrate that the geometry of the Stargate Pyramid was found throughout this architecture around the world. It's in obelisks. It's in buildings of all sorts, government buildings and the like. And most important for our purposes, we determined that this society apparently had free energy as well as extremely good health, and that they used this geometry of pyramid for both of those purposes. So lots and lots of good information about the Tartarian Empire. We're going to continue to go back and do research on that as time goes on. I've got lots more slides that I could do on this topic, but again, I would suggest that you go look at those two. You'll start to get an appreciation of the fact that this information is being suppressed and hidden from us. And I feel that it's being done on purpose to suppress the fact that we had all of these wonderful medical and free energy capabilities in the past, and that those have been lost. So I don't know if you guys have any comments, but I'll move on. On the 10th, Lisa is back, and
Oh my.
that's right. And she went over how to turbocharge your Stargate pyramid. So, Lisa, if you want to pick up again, talk about what you might have been discussing there.
So this episode was really just about the bionized sand and the custom capstones again. So we already touched on the capstones. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the bionized sand. So I actually have a service now where I make the sand. You can order it on my Etsy shop. So whether you have a pyramid, you already have a pyramid without sand in it, you can order the sand and get it in. I have instructions on how to put it inside the poles, not just the base poles, but the long poles as well. If you already have the aqua quartz sand in your base and you want to put the bionized quartz sand in the poles, I have that option as well. You can order 10 pounds of sand for that, or whatever you need, depending on the height. So the bionized quartz sand is actually going to amplify it. Like I said, I have a customer who measured the energy of his pyramid before he put the sand in it with his life force energy meter. He said once he put the bionized quartz sand inside of the poles, he tested it again and it doubled the energy field of the pyramid just with the bionized quartz sand in it. So that's awesome to know, and that's something we're going to replicate testing wise down the road here. So the bionized quartz sand, bionization is a process of freezing and boiling several times, which adds extra life force energy to a product. You can do it with crystals. I did it with the with sand, which is a high quartz crystal content. So, you know, if you don't have that, check it out. Anybody who gets a custom capstone from me always has a layer of that bionized quartz sand in there. You can actually use the pyramid energy with the sand, just to put your crystals in and recharge them. You don't have to take them outside anymore. Put them in your meditation pyramid. It's going to charge the energy of your crystals that way too. Charge water, all kinds of things. Charge yourself. That's mainly what we're doing with all this energy. Pyramid energy, we need to raise our vibration to get where we need to go in this world at this current time. So, and to protect ourselves from the negative energies that are out there, the electrical magnetic frequencies. So that's what all of this is doing.
Okay. All right. As you now notice, there's a new change to our thumbnail, and that's because Lisa joined the show and I had to figure out how to get her name on. So I redesigned the thumbnail to be a little bit more user-friendly for titles, topics, and so forth. So anyway, starting on February 17th, Lisa joined the show on a full-time basis. And this particular show was an idea that came to us from Linda Salazar in Great Britain. She had contacted me and had figured out a way to make pyramids with this geometry from paper. And so we did an entire session with her on this topic. And Lori and Bill were able to do a variety of energetic testings based upon stacking pyramids, placing pyramids in various locations inside her own meditation pyramid, outside, and so forth. So there's a lot of good information there. It's a step-by-step. If you'd like to make some of these pyramids yourself, watch this episode and you'll find out exactly how to do that. So this was one of my favorites because Linda was so neat to get on with us and show us how to do all this. And
this was one of my favorites too. I thought it was so cool, and how we put them in different places, and it would change the energy just by positioning them different areas around the pyramid.
That's right. So it was this is a great one to go back and watch a second time. On the 24th, I had just, as we were talking to Linda, I believe that the first week I was on Richard Hoagland's Other Side of Midnight 3 times in about 2 months, and Lori was on with me as well after the first show. So we began talking about coronavirus. This gives us some perspective. This is kind of when this really began to get into the consciousness of the country and the world. And so what we did was to talk about some of the very, very early research that we were doing, some of the things we discussed on the show with Richard Hoagland. And we began to request that people get in touch with us to discuss having sessions for energy healing. So this is kind of the first show when we really started to focus on sound healing as well. So a good place if you want to start to get up to speed on coronavirus and really the very rapid development of some of the things that we're now doing. It all began back around the end of February.
It's so interesting to see this because I just remember the numbers doubling in Wuhan, and I thought, uh-oh, this is too quick. This is too fast. And I remember I said to my daughter, let's go to Costco. And that's when we started, shopping and getting a few items here and there just so we weren't without. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah. So on the next session, we began really discussing for the first time our very, very early, entries into this field of sound healing. And, we discussed, I believe in this episode, the beginning, the solfeggio frequencies and um, uh, just began and began asking people again. I think we also discussed on this episode some of the early results that we had achieved from some of the sound healing sessions that we did. At that point, we were working as well with some of the work of Sherry Edwards, who had been on the show with Lori and me a couple of times. And Sherry is a what would you call it? Her unique talents in hearing anyway allow her to come up with specific frequencies, and she had
Right.
she had determined some specific frequencies that she felt were going to be beneficial and actually killing the virus inside the body. So we were looking at that, as well as what we began to discuss more in the coming weeks, that the frequencies, or excuse me, that the pyramid is actually harmonizing as opposed to being antagonistic in terms of its healing
So
properties.
March 2nd, that was our first time. How cool is that? Because we were just, this is what I'm saying about manifesting, because we were just learning about this at this time. And what was cool about that, we really didn't know what we were doing. And then a few people are like, oh yeah, we've done this forever.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another. And next thing you know, you're connected with G.W. Harden. So, I mean, that's the cool thing. And it just keeps getting better and better.
Well, it really does. So the following week, we took a break from that, and we had on Craig Moran. Craig is the owner of Precision Pyramids, and Craig showed us, which is a manufacturer of wooden pyramids. And so Craig has a new book out, which we discussed, which gives blueprint diagrams of Giza, Nubian, and now Russian geometry pyramids. He told us the basics on what you'd need to make them. He also sells these pyramids on his website, precisionpyramids.com. An interesting note at the end of that session, we decided to go on to his website live so he could show us some things. And one of the things that he showed us was a video of a free energy device that a video that he had on his website where people could create free energy from a small pyramid.
Right. Didn't they have a fan or something connected to it?
Yeah.
It was, oh, that was so cool.
So
Yeah.
we are definitely interested in pursuing that. We just haven't had time with the sound healings and so forth to pursue that in a major way. But
well, just think about that, Charlie. You think if you have your frequency connected to your phone like that, maybe the other end you can have it connected to a fan with the wires and see if it'll just go.
you never know. So anyway, this was fascinating. For those of you who have thought of building a pyramid outdoors or building a Russian pyramid with building materials other than PVC, this is a great session to go back and watch. On the 16th, we did a coronavirus healing update. Here, I think Lisa, Lori, and Marza Millar all reported back on using not only Sherry's frequencies, but the basic solfeggio frequencies for doing healing sessions with various people. We were looking for people specifically that had been diagnosed with the coronavirus. And of course, as all of you probably know with the benefit of hindsight, those people there was very limited testing. And as we now know, we're not even sure the tests even are accurate, because from what we have subsequently determined, the virus itself has never truly been isolated. So how can you build a test, much less a virus, or excuse me, a vaccine against the virus? So,
well, and isn't that what Sherry's really good at? Sherry is good at getting frequencies to kill viruses.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
But, so I can't speak to her methodology for figuring it out, but
well, originally she was saying it had the effects of like allergies, but when we got closer and closer, I would put out to everyone, I'm looking for any coronavirus person
Yeah.
to help them with frequencies. Never got a call, never got an email, never got any. I did not get one person to contact me to help them through this. So, I mean, we weren't able to test.
Well, that's right. But we did have very positive results with any number of people with flu-like symptoms, which are nothing more than supposedly the symptoms of COVID-19.
Exactly. I had a person that came with flu. She had the influenza A, had B during December, but had influenza A during this time, and it was gone. We went through the different chakras in the pyramid at the time. And by the time we went from the first chakra, second chakra, it was cleared. Her light fever was gone. All of her symptoms were gone. And next thing you know, she was out for the rest of the day, shopping and doing all the things that she needed to do. And she even had some great abundance come her way after that. So to me, that is validation that these frequencies definitely work to clear out viruses.
Absolutely. So we continued on with that, and we continue to do that. So if there are any of you who are interested in healing sessions, call Lisa, call Lori, and we'll be happy to do those for you. But as we said, we've done numerous occasions where we've had large numbers of people together. We've asked if anyone knows of anyone who's really sick with this, and it's really challenging to find people who have actually been diagnosed. And as we said before, without isolation of the virus, how can you know if the test is even accurate to begin with? But what the good news about all of this is that it led us in a direction that we needed to be guided into, which is sound healing. So we're all grateful for that. Now, the next week, we did some research on measuring the area of impact of pyramid energy, similar to what the researcher in Northern Canada had done. Bill was on with us, and he had designed this idea where he was going to use these sound frequencies in conjunction with some stacked pyramids that he had inside of his home. He put his phone or frequency generator off of his phone inside the pyramid, and he got in the car, and Lori actually mentally traveled with him these distances, and they were able to test the energy field out to a distance. Once again, I believe it was around 11 miles. So it was a very interesting show because we were able to see kind of live that these pyramids do have a huge amount of impact. And Bill subsequently even measured when he put more pyramids together, was able to determine, as with Lori, that the pyramid field increased even further. So,
and just imagine with this coil how far it's going. That's what amazes me.
Well, that's going to be another interesting topic. I can't wait to do this now. A similar experiment with a coil going forward. So. As soon as you get yours, Lori, maybe we can start to do that testing. Now, on the 30th, Lisa again came back and was able to show us how magnets would also increase the energy field of the pyramid. So why don't you discuss that for a second, Lisa?
Yeah, so I got into magnetic energy with an experiment I did with worms a few years ago. I raised red wigglers for composting, and I came across an article of a man who was a fisherman, and he said he had a cup of worms out in the garage. When he came out the next morning, they had eaten through the styrofoam cup, and they were attached to the magnet. It was a horseshoe magnet that he had right beside it, and they were only attached to the one side. So he got his compass out, and he figured out it was the south pole of the magnet. So I replicated that experiment with just worms. This was before I got into pyramid energy, but it was so profound. I started with 6 worms in each container. After 30 days, the one without magnets had about 16 worms in it, and it had eggs throughout, but not a lot. The other one was so much more profound. It had about 33 worms in it, and like literally thousands of eggs. I mean, you couldn't pick up a piece of that soil without having worm eggs riddled through it. And so just that, you know, we hear all the time that the electrical magnetic field of the earth is getting lower and lower. You know, I got into pulsed electrical magnetic therapy because, you know, they say someday that we might need that to live. You know, we need that artificial magnetic field to survive. So magnets are really important for our health, and utilizing them in the pyramid really proved that on this day of Pyramid Quest. So I'm not going to cover everything, but we've got really powerful neodymium magnets. We tried the South Pole and the North Pole in several different positions, underneath the chair, holding on to them, putting them on the apex amplifier as well. And we found profound results at all different aspects of it, north facing and south facing. They did different things for men, different things for women.
Absolutely.
And then I believe we
Yes.
had the results for that. Yeah, it was just so profound. Actually, I want to start adding the magnets to the capstones as well. So.
Fantastic.
Well, and just that simple, just really quickly, there was a time that, you know, Charlie was only measuring 25K while he was in the pyramid, and we're like, you're at 35K. Why are you at 35K? He just had a simple magnet at the top there.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
all right. So moving on to April, Lisa was back again to talk about grounding your pyramid.
Yeah, so grounding, you know, every time it lightnings, okay, when lightnings strike in the earth, it's charging our earth with negative ions, and negative ions are very beneficial to us. When you suffer from inflammation, from pain, you're filled with positive ions. So we were designed as humans to not wear shoes, okay? When we wear rubber-soled shoes, that's because we're actually insulating ourselves from the energies of the earth. So simply just taking your shoes off and stepping onto the bare earth, you're gonna get rid of that positive, which is not so much positive, the negative energies in your body. They dissipate into the earth, and you get recharged and flooded with those negative ions, which are actually good for your body. That reduces pain, reduces inflammation. But when you hook your pyramid up to that, have a grounding mat inside of your pyramid, it's going to be even more powerful. So that's what we did on this episode. I got a grounding mat. I plugged it into the ground outlet of my electrical socket. If you're able to actually run that out your window and put it into the ground itself, it would be even more powerful. But you know, what I've learned through energy healing is that the negative energies dissipate through, are eliminated through the base of our feet. So that's what this is really helping you with. You know, the pyramid's bringing in more positive energies and helping you heal and recharge you. But that grounding mat, if you utilize that inside your pyramid, it's giving you a way to get that energy out and dissipate. Because when you're on a hardwood floor, or, you know, we're lifted above the ground, we're not getting those grounding energies. The grounding mat will help do that though, and it's really more powerful when you use it in combination with the pyramid.
Cool. Okay, on the 13th, one more Lisa episode here. She
Wow,
introduced.
Lisa, what a rock
She doesn't
star.
like to
That's
talk that
right.
much.
That's right. She introduced her new Apex amplifier.
Okay, I was full of ideas that month, wasn't I?
You were.
So if you guys can see, this is the Apex amplifier. So actually the development of this came to mind when I watched the episode with Lori and Bill, and they had tested the energies of the capstones, and they found that if you hold it above your head, when you're inside the pyramid, that it's way more powerful. Well, you know, nobody wants to sit in here and meditate and hold something above your head. You know, you'd probably fall asleep and crack yourself with it or something. So I felt it would be more beneficial if I just made a little platform about a foot. It sits about a foot down from the peak, and it's made of resin, ionized quartz sand, and magnetite. But you can get it in different colors too. But everybody is utilizing that now. So we found it's more powerful to place your capstone on that apex amplifier than it is actually to put it on the very peak of your meditation pyramid. You can use that apex platform to charge your crystals. I actually have my custom capstone sitting on there now, and I have a capstone at the top. So it's like a double whammy with pyramid power there. You know, put another pyramid under your chair, and that's going to even amplify the pyramid energy more. But you can charge water. You know, if you don't have time to meditate every day, put some water up on that amplifier. It's going to charge your water with that pyramid energy. Drink that before you go to work. Drink that before you start your day. It's going to be the same thing. It's sitting in the pyramid. So water your plants. Water your plants with that water. You know, I mean, give it to your pets. You know, see how it increases their health. There's so many things that you can do with this technology, and it's so simple.
Well, and it's interesting that we're teaching people to do this because, you know, originally when we're looking at the Russian pyramid and how they were saying when the workers got up to that peak apex area, that's when they had the dizziness, they had all of these different reactions. And a lot of people think that the energy is coming off of the top of the pyramid at the very peak where the point is. And that's where we found really it doesn't. There's significant energy within the pyramid at the top of that area. So
right. Yeah, it's swirling up and going faster and faster towards the top.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So after that, we gave Lisa a little break, and I started doing my left brain stuff. So I started with an introduction to vortex mathematics the next week, and we've been kind of on a quest along these lines for the last month or so. During this period, I had become introduced to the work of G.W. Hardin and his work on solfeggio frequencies. He has taken what were the original 6 tones that were kind of rediscovered through some angelic revelations to a gentleman named Joseph Puleo, who is a naturopath, but GW took those and has greatly expanded them. But as part of that process, it was helpful to go into the work of Marco Rodin, who is the developer of vortex mathematics. Vortex mathematics is a base 9 set of mathematical computations, and it's based on base 9 and what's called reduction or implosion. So just to review, if those of you are familiar with numerology, you take, say, the number 14, you add the digits together, 1 plus 4, and you get 5. And the reason why this is important is because Marco Rodin's work shows us that the numbers 3, 6, and 9 are very important. They determine a pathway. They're highly significant in vortex mathematics, as Tesla has told us. So I'm not going to try to go through all of this information by any means. It was hard enough to do it in an hour and a half. But if you're interested in getting the foundational information necessary to understand the subsequent work that Hardin has done on solfeggio frequencies, and as we go forward, you're going to want to get at least a foundation of this information from this class. So go back and study this. It's pretty dry for the non-math majors, but again, in synthesis, you're going to find that 3, 6, and 9 are important, that when you use this base 9 mathematics, when we double the size of things, we end up creating the infinity sign through the mathematics that he develops. So fascinating information, but there's a lot of math in that particular class. Now on the 27th, I began introducing you all to the work of G.W. Hardin. As I said before, he has taken the original 6 solfeggio tones and has developed an entire matrix with this. And we are just beginning to scratch the surface of this knowledge. We're going to, as a board, we're going to be meeting with him again, I think later this week, if at all possible, to go over a variety of topics. But what we did was to introduce the solfeggio matrix in this class. We showed once again the importance of the numbers 3, 6, and 9 in all of these frequency matrices that he's developed. We also discussed the fact that there's not just the one set of 6 at which he expanded to 9 frequencies, but there's actually 9 different sets of these frequencies that he has been able to develop and establish. And all of these can be germane to sound healing work. And we discussed this, at least in short form, how to determine which of these frequencies sets are appropriate for each person's use. So we
Just
continue. What's that?
I just wanted to say a few people have come on and like a testimony for Lisa really quickly. The Russian doll stack pyramid I got from Lisa's gangbusters, really feeling the increase in energy and less appetite now. Robert said, ideally one should place the pyramid outside into the grass. And then wondered if changes that you made regarding the pyramid, do you think I could make a Wilhelm Reich healing box in the shape of a pyramid and it might work?
Of course. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes, and thank you for the testimony, Laura. Was it Laura?
Yes.
She would not give on that. I was like, she wanted to buy that one that she saw that day on the show. And I was like, I want to perfect it first. She's like, no, I want that one, that specific one. I said, okay. So I sent it to her.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. That is really great.
So, yeah, she was excited to get it.
You know, we love
so definitely with the Wilhelm Reich thing. Oh, go ahead.
We love when people want to come on the show, but nobody seems to want to come on the show. I just wish they would come on the show and give their testimony, because it's so great and so many great things. For Laura, she had a knee issue that's really been significantly changed through the pyramid. Like her meniscus, that the doctor said it'll never be healed. You'll never have, good feeling there, and so on and so forth. And she's been having some great luck with that. So that's what I'm saying. I love when we're talking about G.W. Hardin here. He talks about how if you find a good psychic, they'll be able to determine medically what's going on with you 85%, where a doctor would only have like a 25% rate.
That's right.
So, I just love things like that, because it is absolutely true. And we so blindly sometimes just go to the doctors thinking that they know better than us. They have no clue.
Yes. Well, I know. Exactly. And I know with Laura too, she doesn't have the bionized quartz sand in her pyramid yet. Once she does that, it's going to amplify that energy up for her even more. Actually, during Wilhelm Reich's days, they used to actually bionize the sand, and even, I'm sure people still do it to this day. They would get a natural type material like cotton or silk, and create a little pouch and put that sand in there. And if they had issues like with a knee, for instance, they would put that bionized quartz sand bag on their knee while they were relaxing, and that really helped release a lot of that energy. So that tells you the type of energy that it's gonna, transform your pyramid into when you add it to the poles. Sure.
Okay,
and,
so
going back to the guy, whoever, what did Robert say again, Lori?
Is
she on there? Okay, well, going back to the guy about Wilhelm Reich.
I'm here. Just hang on just a second, because I'm reading everybody else's stuff. Robert had said, with changes you guys have made regarding the pyramid, do you think I could make a Wilhelm Reich healing box in the shape of a pyramid and it might work?
Oh yeah, definitely. All it is really the layering of the organic and inorganic materials. I don't see why the shape would have anything to do with that. If anything, it would amplify the energy. So I'm actually going, one of my creations down the road, I'm a beekeeper. I'm going to make a pyramid shaped beehive and see how that amplifies the production of the honey, the health of the bees,
Oh,
all
that's
kinds
a
of
great
things down the road.
idea. Of course
Yes,
it's
okay.
gonna
Yeah.
be better. It will be. I think it
Yes.
would even taste better.
I
Hey,
bet
Michael, just really
Yes.
quick,
So
Michael.
I actually, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'll finish when,
Oh, I was
yeah.
gonna say the first year I was a beekeeper, I had done research. It was just a regular shaped beehive, the square one, but I actually put neodymium magnets. This was after my worm experiment. I saw how profound the magnetic energy was. So I put neodymium magnets up the side of it. I can't remember what side I had facing in. I think it might've been south. I'd have to look back, but I got 30 quart jars of honey
Wow.
that year. And
Wow.
that seemed like a lot. I didn't have another hive to actually, test it or compare it to, but to me, that was pretty profound. I had
It
no
is.
mites, which is the #1 killer of bees. I had no mites. I also used copper strips to put across the holes, the entrance ways to help with any mites, but I never had mites. And yeah,
And
it was
for those
amazing.
that don't know, that honey is really good for people with allergies, especially within your area. So something like that would clear them of that, or at least, minimize the symptoms they may have of allergies. Michael,
and they actually use a type of honey to heal people of MRSA, Manuka honey. So that's just a certain plant that the bees eat from. So yeah, there's all kinds of things we could be doing, but yeah, definitely build one of those orgone generators.
All right. So just to let people know, Michael is having some difficult time. I can tell he's going through a transformation. Anyone that has a pyramid, I always ask that they align and acclimate to the energy that they're feeling within the pyramid. I think it's a very important thing that you do, because continuously your energy is evolving and it's expanding. Your soul is expanding, your energy, your power is expanding. And you mentally and emotionally may not be expanding energetically with it. So that's why I always say to align and acclimate to it. That way it helps you. A lot of times people say they don't sleep because of pyramids, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you don't necessarily need all that sleep, because you have oxygenated your blood, that things are moving better and you're feeling better. There's just so many reasons health-wise why you may not be sleeping as much.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael was saying couldn't sleep for days. So again, just you're going through a transformation, just align and acclimate. We just went through a new moon where we have 6 planets in retrograde. I mean, that's a lot. And it seems like a lot of times, and believe it or not, Mercury is not in retrograde, but it feels like a lot of times lately. So just be aware of that.
Okay. Well, we've just got a few more here to finish up with. These are very recent, so hopefully most of you know about these. But on May 4th, I got back into even the more current state-of-the-art research about DNA, solfeggio frequencies, and scalar waves. And essentially what we were able to show is that researchers such as Stuart Hameroff and Sir Roger Penrose have created a theory called OR, which basically says that that DNA is used as the source of communication and transmission by organisms, and that their theory of action, their basis of action, was actually in the structure of the DNA microtubules that are found inside the DNA. It's actually almost like a fractal of the outside structure of the DNA itself, which is in a bispiral arrangement. But they found that inside these microtubules, you found the layering of the DNA protein molecules and the like occurring with the same set of vortex mathematics And that's why this vortex math information is important. When you reduce down the solfeggio frequency sequence into base 9 vortex mathematics, which is the geometry of this pyramid, you find it in DNA. So that's an important.
And for those people that were very scientific and, you know, AI, pro AI people, just really thinking that there is not such a thing as a higher power, higher existence. They are now proving it through that. And that's what's fascinating. They just keep thinking that with AI, they can duplicate us as existence, and they're finding they cannot.
Right.
So that's why a lot of scientists are having trouble right now.
That's right. Another piece of research that we discussed was from the Australian National Laboratories, done about 10 years ago, kept out of the news for the most part, but essentially it proves that our thinking, our intention is what collapses the wave potential into the future and makes the present. It takes all of those infinite possibilities, acts upon our consciousness, and therefore this is very profound research. Our consciousness is what creates reality, not the other way around. So very, very profound and important stuff. And then finally, the work of Konstantin Mile, which we ended up or finished up with that day, shows that DNA as the transmitter and receiver of information actually uses scalar waves for that purpose. And so the reason why we've gotten into the coils in the last few weeks in conjunction with the information from G.W. Hardin is that the scalar waves produced by the coils have an ability to essentially bypass the subconscious mind in terms of programming of information into the DNA, into the cells. So we then the next week we discussed sacred geometry. This was again a class that Lisa did, and you want to discuss that real quickly?
Sure. Actually, I just came across an article on the 5-sided and 6-sided geometry and how when you utilize them together, that it actually amplifies things and it actually replicates. So, you know, we're going to do the pentagon and the hexagon. Okay. Right. And mainly if you look at the bottom of them and put them together, that's going to be the same molecular matrix as DNA, as serotonin, as melatonin, all kinds of things in our world, you know, creation. So that's what I did. I created a Russian geometry pentagon and a Russian geometry hexagon. And this was a little bit taller, obviously, but we tested the energy with Lori. Lori tested the energies for us one at a time in different areas in the pyramid, and then both at a time in different areas of the pyramid. And we've found
it's funny as you're holding
great
that.
results.
As you're holding that, it's doing something to your feminine energy. So I just think that's funny.
Really? Nice, nice. Yeah, so actually these are really cool. All I did was make these out of cardboard. I used a website to figure out how the dimensions I would need to make them. I can't remember the name of the site, but it's on this episode, so you better watch it and see what's the website called. And and then I just tape them together. You need to make sure you make the base with these though, unlike some of like the paper pyramids that we made before in a prior episode. You need the base to keep them sturdy. So make sure you make that cardboard base. I took duct tape and just taped all the cardboard together to give them nice little edges. And then I spray painted them with stone spray paint to make them look this way. So they turned out really cool. I actually keep them together and put them underneath my meditation chair, and it just amplifies the energy so much. Down the road, I might start actually making, I think I'm going to make a mold and start making the pentagons and see the different energies when I make them into different, with crystals and things like that, and how they, how that enhances the energy too.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Cool. All right, and this is our last one until this, obviously this week. Pyramid sound healing with tensor rings and caduceus coils. So last week we introduced for the first time the use of the coils and also tensor rings, which are a form of coil, and we're able to test those. And we were just, as you saw earlier today, the energy fields have just been literally blowing us away with the amount of energy that they're producing. So, that's kind of where we have been for the last 6 months. This has been an amazing journey. I think about the energy fields that we're testing now in the billions when we were first testing the pyramids in the early days of the live stream, we were getting measurements in the thousands. So really, truly amazing, advancements that we've been able to put together here. And I want to thank Lori and Lisa and Bill as well for his time when he was on the show
Yes.
for helping to advance all of this knowledge. And
And
we're
just
going
to add to that,
And-
with me, I have just been simply amazed since we started doing sound frequencies of my ability and what I can do that I wasn't able to do before. And to me, that has just been profound and just been a really great tool that has helped me in my business and what I do. So it's just been amazing, just amazing.
Yeah. And none of this would have happened without Charlie and all his research. This
Yes.
is where it all started.
Yeah.
And,
I'm just a math
Here,
geek.
Charlie and I
That's
were
all.
going to expos. No, but I mean, just you and I were going to expos last year and just talking
Right.
about the basics
right.
of pyramid energy. And look how many people that drew to us. And now we're just expanding so much
Yes,
every episode. And we're getting people from all over the world now. It's
That's
amazing.
right. That's right. And, just maybe to summarize as well, the foundation, I'm so appreciative of everyone's work to get that going. I was on call this last weekend with the grant writer where she's putting together a formal presentation and a list of target audiences so we can begin to do some serious research and hopefully wrap it at a time as we possibly can. So anyway, we've run a little past today. I thank you for your patience. As always, tell your friends about Pyramid Quest and be sure to check us out. You can get Lisa's products through a link on my website, stargatepyramids.com. One final thing I will say, two things actually. I no longer am making clear pyramids. I'm out of that business. So I'm back to only black and white. There were just too many production problems with it. I sold my last one last week. And I will also say that I'm in the process of changing shipping companies to Federal Express. I just had too many losses and aggravations, I hate to say, with the U.S. Postal Service. So as soon as I'm able to get that software up and running, I'll be using that as well. And then finally, I will be within the next week or two begin offering caduceus coils as well on my website as soon as we kind of set up a final system for that. And as I mentioned earlier, Tom Nornberg, our other board member, is working on an app that will be available very quickly as well. So we've got a lot of good things going for us that I'm looking forward to putting into motion over the coming weeks. So as always, we thank you for watching.
Real quick, Charlie, though, going back to the color of the pyramids, one thing I'm thinking of doing is offering hydro dipping. Have you ever seen, you can spray the paint in the water and then you hydro dip? You dip the product in it.
I've not seen that, no.
This cool, like,
Yeah, it's pretty
tie-dyed
cool.
looking. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to test it with that. So there might be
All
more
right.
options than black and white down the road.
Well, as always,
But everyone have a great Memorial Day.
That's right. Thank you for watching and you have a great day.